Alright, what's going on, Premium? I am shirtless and fucking mugging all of you. I like to go shirtless in my videos, but my mom and dad told me to stop doing that shit, which is pretty fucking funny. They're like, yeah, stop posting yourself shirtless trading. I'm like, yo, how about these 10 racks to your fucking dome piece? However, this is a premium video. I'm not posting it publicly. It's just for you guys, so I'm gonna rock no fucking shirt. So let's talk about this. I'm going to be getting into mistakes that you can avoid on the charts and off the charts. We're going to start with the technicals with on the charts, and then we're going to get into some off the chart psychology talk. So first things first, predicting reversals. I've just made a whole premium video about this. You go over to the premium trading chat, my pins. This is where all my videos are always. How to avoid pattern trading, this is a great one, and then draw on liquidity as well. So these two are great videos to watch if you haven't on predicting reversals, because what a lot of people are doing is they were taking trades. You see this unfilled 4 hour right here. You see how we're coming out of it. So what a lot of people are doing is they'll see any liquidity sweep. Like they'll be like, oh, we just swept this internal low. Okay, now we're probably going to pump and take out all our draws like Asia. And then they get manipulated, and then we go and take the draw. Jesus Christ. So, let's talk about it. So, the reason why a lot of people fail in trading is because they make the mistake of getting in too early. It's very easy to win a trade. It's very hard to not lose or avoid losing. So, every time you take a trade, you want to say to yourself, how do I avoid a loss in this case? And the best way to avoid that is thinking, okay, is this a good place to enter, and is this a good place to exit? So, let's talk about the entering first. The entering is always going to be, my rule is always set liquidity before the market opens. So, how do I know what liquidity is beneficial? So, unfilled gaps, unswept highs and lows, and then highs and lows that are inside of gaps. So this, for example, is so beautiful because we're inside this 4 hour gap, and we made this internal low right here, which was also the Asia session low. So, if you go back in time here, where the fuck? If you go back in time, we sweep and we keep getting reactions off of this low because it's such a money fucking low to sweep, right? So, where is it? So, we're sweeping off this low, we get this V-shaped reaction, tapping this 4 hour, etc., and then you see we start mooning up off of it. We take out Asia, stuff like that. So why is that better than, the same type of trade, but we take it, let's see, like the same thing. We're sweeping like this low, for example. Like this long ends up playing out here when we sweep out this low. Like, oh yeah, this long did end up playing out. That's pretty fire. But if we were to edge this low, then that would be a shit play because you want to enter only when all of your draws have been met. What I mean by that is there any reason for us to go lower once we take a trade? Okay? So, yeah, we hit a gap, but maybe there's an unfilled hourly gap right on ES or something, and we'll get into ES in a second. But maybe there's an unfilled gap or there's a protected low right below your stop. I just talked about this in my backtesting video, but there was this trade the other day that was like a full liquidity raid where people got in here and then got stopped out and then it worked. It was because there was an hourly gap or some shit on ES that was right below. You need to be aware of all important draws on both assets. That leads me to my second point. Yes, we are trading NQ, but you need to be conscious of what's happening on ES as well. All right, there's a reason why I put so much emphasis on SMTs internally and externally. It is because they fucking reverse the market, okay? They reverse the fucking market. And I have so many videos on SMT for free on my YouTube, and then in my pinned, if you go over here, I have live execution of my trades, key levels in PO3. Let me get my SMT video here. Where is it? Jesus Christ. Jeez, I'd be blessing y'all. So many fucking shit. Holy fuck, bro. It might have been like my first video. Okay, using external internal SMTs for buys and entries. This video is actually sauce, so check that out. We need to be aware of, okay, are we sweeping liquidity or are we tapping liquidity on ES? Are we edging liquidity on ES, etc.? And this is where people get impatient. Let's say we come down here and we get this move, right? But there's like a gap right here on either NQ or ES. And you guys are going to be like, well, but I really like the V shape and the momentum. Like, yeah, we should hit this gap, but I'm just going to go for it because I don't want to miss the move. And that's why you're an unprofitable pussy, all right? Because you're willing to hop in a trade and take a loss just because you're too impatient for a better trade to play out. I mean, we trade from 9:30 to 11, bro. If you can't lock in for an hour and a half, then you're going to be forced to fucking lock in at a 9 to 5, and that's way worse. So what I ask of you is wait for all the liquidity pools to get hit. If we come down here, make sure that we are hitting all our liquidity pools or all our draws on liquidity on both assets. What do I mean by this? We go to the replay mode, right? Let's go to the hourly time frame. You look over here. We have a gap on, we have an hourly gap here on ES. Okay, does that get hit on this trade? Yes. What if like we were more like around here? What if this trade happened around here? Where we come up and we're starting to get a reversal right here. Well, the same exact thing is happening on NQ. Would I want to take this trade? Fuck no. Because we are edging this unfilled hourly gap right here that I want us to tap and get a reaction off of. So I'm inclined to believe that that first move is going to be manipulation. We're going to take it out, go for the lower gap, maybe get an internal SMT, and then get our move up. And a lot of people say, oh, but then you're going to miss the move. So what, dude? This fucking trade happened at 9:40. Let's say you miss this move and it pumps without you. It's like, okay, dude, I got an idea. Let's say this move ends up actually being the move of the day, right? You know, we made the move of the day here. Luckily, this price action sucks dick, unfortunately. So this isn't a great what's it called, example. But let's say we sweep and then we make like a discretionary model gap, like maybe a 1 minute respect. So okay, yeah, we swept this shit. Can we get a respect and an internal SMT off something like maybe like this? Okay, we respect this gap. We get like a lower time frame setup. We take it to this high, something like that. People are so scared to wait for setups to form because they think they're gonna miss the move. It's FOMO, bro. Like, calm the fuck down. Like, this shit is gonna happen, and let's say it doesn't happen. Who cares? You know, if you take a no trade day and $0 is always gonna be better than a loss. Forcing a trade that is not high quality and even getting break even on it is not following your system. It's being greedy and it's being impatient and getting FOMO that you're going to miss the move. There's so many trades you could take every single day, bro. Like, if you guys know Ronan, Bionic NQ, he does a series called, like, IFVGs of the day, and he ranks all the possible setups. He ranks, like, 4 a day. There are, like, 4 setups per day that you can find. Sometimes I miss setups. Sometimes I am off before the others form. Shit like that. There are going to be setups in the 9:30 to 11, and if there's not, then it's just a bad price action day and you saved your capital instead of forcing a bad trade, right? So at the end of the day, you cannot get scared, you know, because we're reversing. Like, oh my god, we're getting momentum out of this area, even though there was a gap down here. I knew I shouldn't have waited for the gap tap. I should have just, like, no, bro. If it's marked out and it's a drawn liquidity for you, then you need to wait until that gets hit to enter. And then the same thing for exits. Why do I mark out specific highs and lows and gaps? And I just did this on my free YouTube backtest right here. This 30-minute backtest. Like, why am I taking it all the way up here? Because this, like, little 1 minute gap doesn't matter to me. This unfilled 15 is what matters. All right? I set my draws on liquidity based on where I think, okay, where would I want to take a short off of? You know, so it's sort of like you're ping-ponging the market. I don't want to get out of my long trade until I feel like the market could actually reverse here. You know, if it's an unfilled gap or an hourly high or a protected high inside of a fair value gap, something like that. That would be the only time I want to exit a trade, all right? I know I take all my trades one-to-one, and if I leave runners, then, you know, I'll leave them for that external draw or some shit like that. I take them one-to-one just because I trade prop firms, but on my live account, I will leave runners or I'll let them go for more RR. And the truth of the fucking matter is that, bro, you should exit only when you think the market is definitely going to reverse. I take it one-to-one. That's a set RR for me. And that's fine for props because I trade like gambled accounts. There's consistency rules, stuff like that. So I literally can't leave crazy RR runners. It's just not how I trade props. But on my live account, bro, I'm leaving runners because I'm like, listen, if we keep pumping, there's Asia high right here. There's no way that doesn't get hit. And then there's this unfilled 4-hour up here. I'm inclined to believe that... Oh my god, this shit's going to be so annoying. I'm inclined to believe that we will probably run up and hit this 4-hour. I don't know if we do. Let's see. Because I wouldn't want to take a short unless this 4-hour gets hit. And then as you see it does, let's see if we start selling off from it. Okay, we run up higher into it. And then we get a little reaction out of it. Let's see if New York PM gets us a little sell-off. So, wow, that's pretty shit. But yeah, then we get a little sell-off here in New York PM. We start taking out lunch lows. We start going for all these lows, this low right here. And as you can see, New York PM sells off in that 4-hour. I'm inclined to believe that price is, and keep in mind the entry was right here. I'm inclined to believe that price is going to go and not stop until we hit that 4-hour. So that's what the draws on liquidity are all about. Okay, I marked this out because I'm like, I think price will not dump any further than this, gap and low, and I think price will not pump any higher than Asia, or I think price will not pump any higher than this 4-hour. Shit like that. So, yeah. All right, on to the next thing. We'll talk about psychology for a quick second. Making trading your entire fucking personality of your life. It's like when you see a kid who's, like, posting on Instagram, like, oh, yeah, like, the gym or nothing, like... Happy Valentine's Day to the gym, man. That's my what? Shut the fuck up, pussy. All right. First of all, you're probably small and broke. Second of all, the truth of the matter is, if you take a trade, and that shit bothers you for the whole day, you're thinking about trading in a wrong way. I guess I should rephrase it in saying, if you took a trade that didn't follow your system or didn't follow your rules in a loss, then yes, that's fine that it can bother you. Because that's you fucking up. But if you took a trade that follows your system and follows your rules, and you're still bugging about it when you're going to bed that night, that's a fucking internal issue that you need to figure out because you're caring too much about trading. And I'm going to drop a psychology video a little later tonight on YouTube about this. But trading should not be the best or most exciting part of your day. Once you get profitable at trading, you start to get bored of it. All right? Do I have fun on the live streams when I hit TP? Sure. Whatever. It's fun. But... in the grand scheme of things, trading should not be like this fucking dopamine rush gambling bullshit like it's a poker match. Trading should strictly be, I have a system, I have a set of rules, I'm going to follow it. It's kind of like you're doing a fucking math problem set for school. Like you're just doing a math problem set. Okay, I have my equations here, and I'm going to do these problems, and if it asks for this, I'm going to look, okay, this is my equation, I'm going to plug the numbers in, and I'm going to solve it. That's it. And then, the only difference would be like, math, it's either you get it right or you get it wrong. Trading, you either win or you lose. Math, you just have control over it. Trading, you don't. But all I'd say is when you're on the charts, if you're like getting a heart racing when you enter a trade, like, yeah, I guess you can't really control that, but that's something that you should look into because it's like you should be calm, you should be collected, because as soon as you enter the trade, there's nothing you can do. And that's what you need to realize. And there are firms like TopStepX who have made risk settings for you to not fuck up over this. Like as soon as you exit a trade, if you're on TopStepX, there's a personal lockout button right there. Just click it and press all day, and then you can't take a trade for the rest of the day. Bam, you're done. You're done. You're cooked. And it's permanent. It's irreversible. So that's the cool shit about that. Definitely check that out. But just remember, like, bro, if you take a loss and you followed your rules, you should be happy. You should be literally happy. You could be, like, frustrated. Oh, what the fuck? Like, I thought this shit was going to bank. But at the end of the day, like, it's out of your control anyway. You did everything right. And you should be excited that, okay, I did the right shit. And now I'm going to fucking bank over it in the long run. All right, next. Let's talk about setups. And I talked a little bit about this on picking the right gaps. If I were to take an inverse like this, right, my break-even point would be this high. Or maybe even my TP. Or I'd TP up here, right? Now, you guys are probably like, oh, wow, bro, this is a banger trade. Like, wow, this shit fucking banked right to the high immediately. No, because if I were to take this trade, I would want to close, like, somewhere around here. or maybe at the stop and the low, you know, go for like a 1-to-1, like this, and I go break even at the first high. This close took out my break even. So even though this trade ends up playing out, a lot of people seem to rush into the trades and be like, well, you know, same thing with FOMO. I got to get in. Oh, it's my setup. I got to get in. You should not be taking trades if your break-even point or that first high is getting hit before you even enter the trade. Because then it's like, oh, well, now I got to change my risk, or I got to adjust to make this high the next one. It's like, but now you're just fucking yourself over, because your break-even spot is where you believe, okay, we could possibly reverse off this. So, you know, once we hit it, I'm going to go break even, cover my risk, because then I'll be up a good amount of points. But if you enter after hitting the break even, you're not up any points, and you're entering at a spot where you previously thought we would reverse off of. So now you're just killing your odds, and the only reason you're killing your odds is because you have FOMO and you're scared you're going to miss the fucking move. People are so obsessed with, oh man, I need to get this trade, bro. If you don't take any trades in a single day, what is going to happen? You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be able to trade again. If you blow all your fucking accounts getting scared and having FOMO and jumping into trades, you're not going to have any trade. You're not going to have any accounts to trade the next day. Okay, so that's a big mistake, is people will jump into trades when the high has already been hit on the close. So please do not do that dumbass shit. All right, let's get one more in here. Continuation trades. So a lot of people seem to think, listen, I love continuation trades. You know, like a 5-minute opens up and we get a respect. And, you know, a lot of people seem to fuck with the trades. Like this one, for example, we hit a 5-minute. I mean, this is beautiful, right? We're shifting these lows. We open a 5-minute, we hit it, and then we go for the next low. This matches drawn liquidity again. Let's say we open up a 5-minute gap like this, right here. And then we sweep this low. Let's say this low is my last draw, all right? I don't want to be afraid to long this 5-minute. All right, a lot of people think, oh man, like, you know, we just hit my last draw on liquidity, but there's a 5-minute right above. I don't want to long into it. That shouldn't matter to you, bro. We have to rebalance this leg at some point. Like when we're selling off as hard as this, we need to come up to this 0.5 at some point. I don't know if it's going to be right now. I don't really remember this day, to be honest with you. But at some point, we're going to have to pump up and somehow open up or make an equilibrium for this leg. Where the fuck is my tool, bro? There it is. There it is. So maybe we just fucking sell off all day, which would not even surprise me with how this market's been moving. Whatever. Fuck it. So at some point, we are going to want to come up and rebalance all of these unfilled gaps. Obviously, this wasn't the last draw. I actually remember this play. This was actually a pretty good long, or a pretty good short off this low. It goes back to drawn liquidity. Do I think we're going to react here? All right? Yeah, this is a pretty prominent low. This is not bad. But we have this low right here. We have other lows that we can take out, and as you see, we absolutely run all of them. And think of shifting structure on the higher time frame. We close below this fucking low so nicely and then continue to go below it and then respect at a 5. Obviously, we're going to get continuations. When you're looking for a continuation trade, it's not just, oh, we respected a 5-minute and inverse a gap, let's get in. That's called a pattern trade. You're just getting in because it checks all your boxes. You need to be conscious of the higher time frame. So stop making the mistake of just forcing continuation trades because they check all your boxes. Be conscious of the higher time frame. Say, okay, has my last draw on liquidity been hit though? Are we shifting structure on the higher time frame and proving that we want to continue to go lower? Or are we starting to lag now? Are we not shifting lows? Are we starting to reverse? Is this like a low inside of a 4-hour gap, you know, and there's nothing else nearby? So like, is it, you know, common that a reversal may happen here? Something like that. Like, let's say this fucking low right here was inside of a 4-hour gap and there wasn't a low or a gap for fucking miles, right? If that's the truth, and like we get an external SMT off of it, if that's the truth, fuck this 5-minute, bro. You think I give a fuck about the 5-minute? No, I think we're going to come up and reverse off that because there's no reason for us to seek any other liquidity at this point. We have to rebalance inefficiencies, and we have to rebalance ranges back to equilibrium at some point. Obviously, this example is not the case because we just keep running all these lows since there's so many nearby lows. But if we're on the higher time frame, and we're trying to get a reversal, we need to make sure it's at our last draw on liquidity. And if we have more draws below, like in this scenario, then that's when continuations get valid. That's when, okay, we respected a 5 or a 15, we're getting an inverse out of it, we have lows on the higher time frame to target below, we have our bias matching our favor, conditions matching our favor, and that's when we fucking bank for the trade. So yeah, please be conscious of not just forcing or pattern trading continuation trades. Make sure conditions line up, make sure bias lines up, make sure you're actually following the trend, and that there's more draws below for you to target. All right, catch you guys.